Now let's move on to the next property, that is objects may float or sink in the water. So we are going to study about such objects or substances that can be totally sink in the water or they may float in the water. So what we have in it, that insoluble solids get separated from water. हमने देख ही लिया है पिछले इतनी सारी एक्टिविटीज में कि ऐसे भी सब्सटेंसेस हमने देखे हैं कि वो इनसॉल्युबल थे, बिल्कुल भी पानी में मिक्स नहीं हुए. उसके अलावा we have materials that do not mix with water floats on the surface of the water. So ऐसे भी हमने सब्सटेंसेस देखे हैं कि जो मिक्स नहीं हुए वो पानी में फ्लोट करने लग गए. ऐसा हमने कौन सा सब्सटेंस देखा था, अगर आपको याद हो, we studied about केरोसिन. वो उसके बारे में हमने क्या पढ़ा था, that it does not get mixed with the water, so it was floating on the surface of the water. Apart from that, we saw the example of sawdust, right? Sawdust के केस में क्या देखा था कि it was lighter in weight, plus it was also floating on the surface of the water. So in this case, kerosene was liquid, and in the second case, sawdust was a solid. So they both were floating on the surface of the water. Next, we have some materials get sink in the water. ऐसे भी हमने ऑब्जेक्ट्स देखे सब्सटेंसेस जो कंप्लीटली सिंक कर गए. एक तो वो सॉल्युबल नहीं थे, इनविजिबल भी नहीं थे, so they were quite heavier as compared to the water, so they got settled in the water. So such type of examples we saw sand. Sand settled down at the bottom of the water. Settled down. All right? We studied about sand in this case. Now let's see various examples in this topic. So we have the example of dried leaves, a person throwing stone in the water, and the third picture we have a boat that is floating on the surface of the water and the piece of rock that has been sunk inside the water. So in the first picture, we see that dried leaves, they float on the water. Okay? And in this case, the stone gets sinked. The stone gets sinked. And in the third picture, we see that boat floats on the water. Floats on the water, as we have all seen. And the stone sinks in the water. Sinks in the water. So why it happens? Because जो leaves होती हैं, leaves have less density, less dense than water. So they float naturally. Stone क्या होते हैं कैसे? More dense than water. More dense means उनका weight ज्यादा होता है compared to the water. So they tend to sink in the water. Simple. आप ये खुद भी ट्राई कर सकते हैं that when you throw leaves in the water, so leaves क्या करती हैं, वो surface पे float होने लग जाती हैं. But when you throw a stone, do you see any stone floating on the surface of the water? क्या आपको दिखता है कि कोई stone float कर रहा है पानी के ऊपर? ऐसा नहीं होता because it is quite denser as compared to the water. So yes, we have dried leaves on the surface of a pond, as you can see, and stone thrown in the pond, obviously it sinks in the water. That clearly is shown in the third picture.